Today is all about getting the latest version ready for release. It's currently on test. It's been there for a long time. I think the production version right now is around, let's find out. It's 0.141.2. So let's say prep release. It's quite a jump. It's like 20 versions or something. But we need to do a few items here. First of all, I think I want to start moving the test version over to the new server. So set up, and we're going to put it under beta.SudokuPad.app for latest beta test setup. I'm gonna create it. We want to adjust the letter tool. So adjust letter tool. So right now, let's see, are we with the pen tool for now? So right now, I think if I'm here, yeah, so WASD is moving the cursor. If I go into letter mode, we're now typing in letters and none of the hotkeys work. But numbers still work. So how do we want to change this? We might have to toggle a setting. So if you're not in letter mode, everything works as normal. If you're in letter mode, let me see, control. So A, control Z, Z, control Z, control Z, control Z. Yeah, so step one, enable, what do you call them? Modifier hotkeys. CTRL, for example, CTRL plus Z for undo, right? So we definitely should be able to keep those running. Then secondly, we want to be able to toggle, we'll see, create a modifier key for letters. It's leaving current single key letter hotkeys. So this is a couple of options. This is something we definitely want to do. This is maybe an option. And then finally, we might have a setting. Setting to toggle letter vs hotkey mode. Only giving only a lot. Yeah, we'll have to see how that works. But I think something in here might work, right? So this is definitely something we should be able to get working, and that's just how it should be. So let's have a look at that first before anything else. And some of the stuff is going to be a bit tricky. So I'm actually gonna start by creating a branch here. Make sure we're in the clear. All right. And we were on version that, okay. Dash B feature, wait, branch dash L, I think, yeah. So git checkout. So we're gonna create a branch here. We're gonna call it feature slash version plus letter polish. All right, and that should put us in a new branch. And now we can do things with impunity without having to worry too much about things, right? And we're gonna need a lot of console space because we're gonna be doing a lot of console logging. So first of all, let's have a look at this item here. And then these we're gonna move down because they're actually less important. I'm gonna make a little... Here we go. So this is the one we're gonna work on first. And I think we need these expanded here. So we want to look at the key handlers. Oh, and let me change to the JavaScript syntax highlighting for now. See if eventually I'm going to get rid of Naomi. It's just too laggy. All right, so we have two kinds of keyboard shortcuts. I don't think key up does actually trigger any, although of course, since it gets passed through to the individual tools, it could be that key up does stuff, right? Including changing keys, changing the tool. So I don't think this tool with letters. So this, can we do this elsewhere now? Interesting question. Because, wait a second. Tool key handlers. So we might be able to do this part now in the letter tool. I hadn't even thought of it. I didn't even realize I hadn't done these in here. This tool with letters. Oh, I see. So we have key handlers. Yeah, I'm also starting to think this little construct here is a little bit inconvenient. And what we did with the edit tool, where this was a proper object and a class that we instantiate and all that, I think it made more sense. But for now, let's just roll with it. No, let's not roll with it. This is silly. So we're gonna change this, and we're gonna use. I want to use the code from our editor branch. So I think that was pretty clean, actually. Nope, not scripts. Public staging tool editor. Now this file is rather large. It's starting to get about as big as the, well, not nearly as big as the main app, but you know, it's getting pretty big. It's not small. Tool editor. Okay. Tool letter. So if we turn this into a thing and do this, no. Hey, wait a second. Yeah. Yeah, okay, I understand now. Because the tool is the tool plus the definitions for the buttons and the UI and all that stuff, which is, you know, a couple of extra bits here. So let's find the actual puzzle editor. Okay. So let's just do this kind of thing. So this will be our tool letter. We don't have this here. I'm gonna steal that from here. So, one second. Puzzle editor dot C is puzzle editor, and P is prototype. One second. I'm getting something confused here. So we have a prototype, which is this. Let's have a look at the extend function. I think we might have to pull that one as well. Extend, extend, extend. Extend. Here. So we're assigning to the constructor prototype and constructor. Wait. So we're just gonna do this. At the washing machine. I hope you guys don't hear that. So that'll be c.prototype constructor c p equals this. We'll take the prototype, we're adding constructor in. And that's our p. Yep. Okay. And then all the way down to the bottom, not all the way down to the bottom, where we have all the deprecated stuff. I wish I could code collapse here. And then we'll just return C at the end of this. Right? And then we'll call that whatever, tool letter tool. So we have tool letter tool. Right? This, all of this. I think up to here. No, the whole thing, right? All of this. All of this has to basically go in here one way or another. How exactly we gotta have to figure it out. Of course, the syntax here is all wonky now. And then this will be a new instance of this thing. Like that. And then tool enter handler, tool enter handler, handle toggle. So this one we shouldn't have to bind anymore. Tool enter handler. We'll figure it out. Okay. Now, of course, all of these are now garbage. I'm trying to think. How did I set these up in the constructor like just like that? Yeah, I did. Okay. Like that. And then c.lettermap equals yada yada. I'm gonna refactor all of this. p.keyhandlers equals this now. I think that'll do the trick for this. And these are all p dots basically. Or this would actually be a C. Because we'll find out. So most of these will be p dots. To clean all these up though. Quite a lot of these. because obviously this is now no longer object literal syntax here. All right, would be fairly quick though, only a couple. And these are all semicolons. Basically a little refactor what we're doing here, just to make other things a little bit neater and cleaner and easier later down the line. All right. Oh, what just happened here? The indenting is gone bonkers. All right, so let's stick that in there. If I refresh this now, puzzle editor. Oh, do I have a reference to puzzle? Oh. Okay. Tool letter is not a function. It's tool with letters. Tool with letters. Okay, we can just put that on the prototype, I guess. This tool with letters is not a function. Looks like a function to me. This is very clearly a function. Ah, so this probably tool enter handler is not being handle tool enter handler in it on tool dash handle tool enter. This seems a bit odd. This seems so strange. Handle tool enter. Tool exec handler. Tool dash. Handler name. Tool exec handler. I think this stuff is already getting fired. All right, let's investigate a little bit. So if I do a handle tool enter, right, that should already trigger. Let's just log these all out. And let's do this guy here. Which previously I couldn't do properly because reasons. All right. So, boom. In it. So do we not get a tool enter message here? Is that why? I'm guessing handle tool enter handler. Tool enter handler from tool exec handler and from init add tool. Gets fired twice. All right. Let's rename these. Handle tool enter. Handle tool enter. Handle tool enter. Handle tool enter. 2. Handle tool enter. Reading bind. So we shouldn't need this anymore. The bind handlers function should already take care of that now. Handle tool enter. Well, as long as it handles it properly, there's no problem really. Okay. It's a bit odd though that I have to register these. Tool exec handler. What kind of events pass through here? Handle tool exit. Exit handle tool enter. Handler name tool. Handler name. So this one fires from this manual call here. Then this one should fire from this here. Let's see. Warn init. Let's see if that triggers actually. So that triggers, but by then we've already executed it probably from this one though. So this one triggers, then this one triggers, but, so that's this trigger here. So does this never happen? Probably because tool here is not a thing because of the way this tool works. I think I might have squeezed this in. I don't even remember doing this at all. Handle tool exit. Handler name. If tool. So it's probably because tool at this point is not defined. Or because the letter tool just isn't a tool. We're triggering this event. Basically, okay, so we added this event in case there's a tool that isn't part of the tool pipeline. Like in this case where it's sort of side-loaded, right? It should really be a add-on or plugin or something. All right. So let's see exactly what happens, right? Init, we get a call to init. We get a call to tool exit handler. Sorry, tool exec handler for tool exec. Don't find anything. We get a call to tool handler, handle tool enter, which fires this, which triggers here, which happens there. Okay. All right. So as long as we don't have any issues with it double firing, this should be fairly robust. All right. So we should be able to just leave this like that. Don't need that. Can get rid of this. And all of these things should work normally. Don't need that, don't need that, and don't need that. Oh, and don't need that. And go into tools mode, ER, etc. All right. So this transformation worked. Ah, yes. And now back to why we were doing this in the first place, right? We wanted to report on... Oh, wait. We want to see if we can exclude this part. Key handlers. Tools to abort additional key handling. So I have a feeling our key handler should be able to handle any key. And I think we've done that here with this kind of construct. So let's just try this. And let's output this one as well while we're at it. And now this one should be basically the any key situation. And now it hits there. Key handlers, any. Why am I intercepting this one separately? Numpad divide. Letter modes, letter and dot key. So I think one of the problems is... no, okay, so let's see. This is obviously true at this point. Then, this tool with letters, this dot tool. So we should be able to, first of all, let's see if there's any other args. If I type in a C, I should really save this in events as well, in settings. All right, looks like there's only the event. Okay, good. So, let's just do... Let's have a look at these. And so this should tell us the same information as what we're getting over there. Center is still with letters true. Okay. Then we can do this. Letter. And the result of this kind of testy thing. This kind of testy thing. Ah, yes. The testy thing. And boom, boom, boom. So that's true. So what if I do this, right? Warn. Warn. So these both should fire at this stage. So we're hitting the key thing, we're hitting there, but then it exits. Now, if I return false from here, or true, I think, it should abort from there as well. No. Now, I feel that maybe I've changed how that works over here. So we might have to bring those changes over, or at least clone them over and then deal with the merge conflicting. 3,700 something something. 3,700 something something. So this is under here, intercept tool letter entry. If this handle tool key letters, exec tool key handlers. Okay, so we've moved those two lines, this whole block, we moved into its own function over here under below update keys. I hope this is not going to merge conflict like crazy. And then we replaced this block with this. So I think by merging that forward, it'll be okay in the end. Okay. So now it doesn't hit there anymore because I'm returning false. And if I return true, and if I return false, then it continues. Okay. So the question now is, can I do these things here? App and then event print default, and I should be able to say do these same checks. So if yeah, and we're gonna put this into the class c.re is letter. Oh, ow, 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 ow. Okay, that's the batteries on my noise cancelling earphone. So, oh, that sucks. I wish it would make such a bloody loud noise when it toggles. Should have charged them. Okay. And then we'll do if yada 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 test letter. Then do these things. Otherwise, go on your merry way. Do this. Let's say I type in a number. It just goes all the way through. But if I type in B, it gets to here and stops. And that means we get rid of all of this, which is very nice. Don't need any of that now. How it should be. Don't know why I left it there in the first place. Do I need to not have them bound like this? Yes, I think so. I think we want to do this earlier. All right. So now we have toggle mode. All right. So that gets rid of this code, which is nice because it reduces the difference to it actually reduces the difference to the new tool branch. And I should probably actually push this. So what have we changed? Ah, yeah, well, we've gotten rid of 3751. Wait, that's not here anymore. There we go. We've gotten rid of all of this, replace it with that. Okay. We can commit this to move tool letter special handling into PI. I mean, it's probably not all of it. In fact, letter. Maybe it is all of it. Maybe it is all of it. Who knows? All right, and now I think this we gotta save that as well. So later on we'll end up with useful diffs. So right now, if I just save this, I think we don't need any of this now either. There we go. Should still work. Should be able to press backslash, type in with our letter tool. All right. So refactor letter tool letter into prototype. I don't want to call them classes. It just confuses people. All right. That's some progress already. So now we should start being able to kind of hook into this stuff more carefully, right? So for example, under what circumstances do we not want to proceed at this point, right? So this stuff has now been updated, but event itself should have some information on the key. So let's see. Let's do this early on here. And I think basically to do this and press Control C, Control Z, Control Z. So we have our key, right? But we also have a couple other things. So we will have, and let's just pull them out. So we have meta key, we have CTRL key, we have alt key, we have we have shift key. All right. And then we also have a couple of others. We have shift pressed, control pressed, and this one I'm not sure about. Tool temp key. We could probably pull that one out. So control pressed, but I'm curious basically what else is update keys handling. So it's shift down, control down, control pressed, shift pressed, numlock shift up a time. Ooh, that's a bit dodgy. Get modifier state numlock. I'm trying to remember. Numlock plus shift event. No. Oh, I think this is dealing with some sort of Safari bollocks, I'm sure. All right, let's just log all of these out. So we have these guys, we have these two, and we can probably squeeze the tool temp key in here as well. Let's see what that looks like. So we're here, we're toggling, we're trying to use app before initialization like an idiot, like an idiot. All right, toggle. Oh, toolcamp is not going to function. Yes, of course, this should be executed on app. And meta key, control key, shift key, sure. Ideally, we only care about it if we're like, we don't need to handle it on these other cases, right? We can go in here and only if we're at the point where we should fire the event, right? And in fact, here probably we should do the opposite and just return. And then we can just move this up. Right, and then whenever we find a circumstance where we don't want to handle the key, we'll just return out. All right, so now pressing this, the slash doesn't do anything. Control Z. So false, true, false, false. So we basically don't want it. Right now, we're looking at this item, right? So right now, we basically want to say, hey, if any of the modifier keys are pressed, you know, don't bugger out. Now, the tool temp key, do we care about that? So if I press Z on its own, that's undefined. If I press Alt Z, oh, okay. If I press Alt B, so that's set, but one of these is set. if I press this, the Windows menu key, and if I press the window key, I don't think it even comes through to here. If I press window H. No, I don't. Ah, man. Okay. Because I think that's supposed to be the meta key. Shift R. False, false, false. So right now, let's just say if any of these are true, we skip out. Ah, wait. Is that enough if we look at these two? Because I think these are the only ones we're actually looking at in other processes here. Control press Shift. We should basically say if this or this, return. Modifier detected. Probably should be doing something like this. Shift. CTRL and letter. Okay. So A, B, C, blah, yada, yada, yada. But now Control Z should work, and Control Y should work as well. And Shift. The problem now is I cannot control and letter. So I cannot do the temp switch stuff. So that obviously is mutually exclusive, right? While if I go down the previous route, and I think we're gonna get to a point now where very likely we're gonna have to choose, right? So we can enable modifier keys, but then we don't have temporary switching of tools, right? Because Control Z, let's say if we're not in letter mode, right? So I type in letters, right? If I press Control Z, because the Z is not a number, it knows what I'm trying to do. Now Shift, Control. Now Alt is handled like Shift. And I don't know if one is more official than the other. And maybe this is a bit... I think this is a concession to Macs, which don't have a Shift and an Alt. So we definitely can't use Control. I think Shift and Alt are only used for the temporary switching. But that's exactly the sort of thing... What if I use Tab? No, if I press Tab, the browser is trying to do things, right? I could use Tab. I mean, it won't show here. In fact, pressing Tab doesn't actually... Yeah, no, I can't even detect that. Trying to think if there's some other modifier I could use. Right control, perhaps? Versus left control? In fact, controls don't even come through. Why does control actually not come through? That's actually a flaw. If I switch on key down here, press Control, gets to here. Handle tool key handlers. Each tool key handler for each key handler. I don't see anything here exiting out before we get there. Ah, wait a second. I'm an idiot. There we go. So Control, 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 control. So we could look for control right. The problem is it's the second press that matters, right? So if I press right control and then G. Control G. At this point, we don't know if it's control right or control left, right? We just get false true on the CTRL key. And I think if we do left control, I think the event looks basically identical. Same key codes, etc. So the only thing we can do here is we'd have to record the controls ourselves. Yeah. And the control happened here. So basically, if event.key control this dot CTRL right equals event dot code equals control right. And then we should be able to say something like log right? So if I do left control B, let's say, what if I detected control B? Control right false. If I do right control B, what if I detected control B? True. So now we basically could say if instead of shift pressed or control right, if shift pressed or control pressed and not this control right. So now if I press control, so toggle control F, left control, nothing, control right. Wait a second. Syntax error. Wait a second. 46. Oh. So toggle control Z. Okay, but right control Z, it does this. And left control Z, yada yada yada, right? Right control Z though, what does this do? Control down, control Z, control right is true, false true, false false, if shift pressed, control pressed. So if this or this and not this control dot right, pretty sure this should pass straight through. See? So if I do here what? Right control and Z. Key down, key Z, Z, keyword event, yada yada, control right. So this is false. So SudokuPad digit might happen, but it might not know what to do with it. What if I actually control Z, control Z, control Z? Okay, control Y with the left control and now right control. It does do press digit Y, but somehow it also doesn't. Handle tool button. Tool action. Arc digit. So, right control Y. Do press digit tool center. Ah. Okay. G, control H. Oh, because, oh, that's painful. Because it toggle swaps with control to the center tool. So we have to undo the temporary toggle. Which we can do. We can do all the things, right? It's just, it gets convoluted, and we have to make sure we don't make a mistake. So tool temp key here. Tool temp key. Tool temp key, change tool. If tool temp key. If hotkey tool, change tool. Tool temp key dot name. Tool temp key is not equal. Change tool. What is the true in change tool here? Temp change. Because then the problem becomes obviously, can I press double control, right? The whole point of this modifier shenanigans is that you can use the temporary tools with the letter tool. Yeah, this is a bit tricky, right? Because it becomes ambiguous what you mean by control A. And I don't want to have to do left control, right control, and A, right? So I think you can only have one or the other. You can only have letters with hotkeys, and then you have to manage the... Sorry, letters without hotkeys. Or... Letters with hotkeys, letters without hotkeys. There's so many options. None of them are good. That's the problem. I mean, right now, shift is only used, I think, for the temporary shift pressed. And alt and shift are like poured into the same bucket because of fucking, excuse me, goddamn Safari. So shift is used. Oh, and shift is used for selection keys. Wait, control press. If shift, control shift. Oh yeah, so control shift. No, wait, we don't need control A, control shift A. Oh, control shift A is unselect all. I mean, these kind of things we can probably live without. The problem right now is that alt is a man, alt shift Mac Windows. The problem is I don't know exactly what happens on a Mac, and there's no way for me to easily test this. Like I've looked. I'd love to have like a Mac emulator keyboard for Windows or something. So they have shift. So the alt key is basically the option key. I mean, basically what I'd have to do is I'd have to pull alt out of this, which is kind of a major change. It's pretty much this here. Other than that, I don't think I use alt anywhere. It was just somebody complained that they were used to using options on Mac or whatever, and I found out that that was basically the shift key or the alt key or whatever. The special select all options hotkey. All seen. Oh yeah, that's my own custom thing. That should really also go into an external tool. Yeah. Okay, so where are we now? We are basically... We know how to do the things. We're just not sure which of the things we should be doing. And I took some notes when I talked to Ranks about this ages ago. But I don't have a record of them. So, if any of you guys have an opinion on this, I would appreciate the feedback. I really would. I mean, the easiest thing right now is to have two imperfect solutions, right? So we can have the current mode where you don't have any hotkeys working. So let's say we toggle, except for the tool change stuff. Or we have one where it's like a mix. Some of them are working, some of them won't be working, right? So for example, if I use the shift as a key to press with the letter, then suddenly you can't do corner marks anymore, right? And if I hijack Alt, I might get people yelling at me on their Macs. To be honest, I never liked the fact that I rolled Alt in here with Shift. So I'm very tempted to experiment with this. So basically if I do this now, Alt is free. I can do Control Alt, whatever, right? And we can basically do Alt pressed is Alt down, Control Shift Alt. And then we can do. Does not initialize anywhere. No, okay. And now we can look at these here. And see how they interact, right? So if we toggle now, we have Control, Alt, Control, handle key tool handlers, key event, C. So Control Alt C, what do we get? Event, right control, right, whatever. Shift press controller, shift press, alt press total temp key. True, false, true. True, false, true. Shift press and alt pressed, control alt. So this still works. Now color was shift and control. So alt is only used for some other, like my own magic hotkeys, right? I think for this one. Yeah. That's a bit weird. I think that's broken under the letter tool anyways. Let's just get rid of this for a sec here. Rid of this. If not alt key. Is that enough? If not alt pressed, is that enough? If not alt pressed. Because then the other thing we could do is, because I don't think there are any other pure letter. There is. There's this, right? Now we can do alt. Alt A. So there's vast, and then there's these, and then there's alt these. Oh, the colors. Oh, yeah. Ew. Okay. So the other question then is, we could do the reverse, right? We could say that you need to press Alt for the hotkeys. So then instead of these, you have to do all these. So the options are Alt plus letter adds letter tool. That's it. The problem is, if you're doing a puzzle with letters, you're going to press letters a lot, right? Then the option is, now you have to use Alt. If you're in letter tool mode, you need to press Alt for all the other hotkeys. So basically, you have to press Alt. Okay, so let's encode these as our options. So letter tool activation options. And we'll have to narrow it down, and then I can make a poll and ask people actually for their feedback. But first we have to determine what are the options. Otherwise, we're not going to get anywhere. So option 1, hold Alt to use to enter letter. All other hotkeys work normally. I.E.CTRL. So if I press Control, CTRL plus Alt plus letter is equals letter center mark. All right. 2. Enter letters directly, hold Alt for other hotkeys. I.E. CTRL plus Alt plus A equals select all. So right now I can do Control A, but then we'd have to do Control Alt A, right? So these are the options with the Alt keys. And then finally we could have, what was the other option? Finally, enter letters directly, comma, hotkeys with bare letters no longer function. I.E. CXCV to toggle tools. Does to move course or selection. What else? What other options do we have? I don't think we can do anything with limiting ourselves to these 10 letters. That makes more sense because they overlap plentifully on the other hotkeys. Unless, let's see, it's only the VASD are the ones that I don't really care about. There aren't any other. So we have VASD, right? And then other than that, A? P. P for pause, which isn't on them. And then option 4, enter letters directly, only A through O, and only we lose last hotkeys, go but keep DXV hotkeys. So that's another option. All right. So now can we encapsulate these options easily in code here? So this one right now is Alt to enter letters. Okay. Then All right. So let here let what shall we call this? Let hot or letter entry mode. And then we'll just do this. We're gonna have hold alt. We're gonna have hold alt. Alt letter alt hotkey. Let's give them some names that make sense to me. No hotkey. And finally only 10. So this is the alt letter mode. So if letter entry mode equals alt letter and not alt pressed, do this. The syntax error on 51. All right. Let's hide these for now. They're going to be super spammy. So we are now in alt letter mode. So all right. So last works, toggle, that works. Okay, control alt, wait, control alt C. Yes, alt control C. Oh, but it does both. It does both. Now that we can't have, obviously. Wait, how does it do both? So, control alt A. Control alt A. Handle key down. Oh, fuck. Excuse me. Shoot. Ooh! Ouch! Hey, that's a problem. That's a problem. That is a problem. So handle key down. So that's event key. So event.code. Event key and event code. Key A. So event key slash code. Event.code. And I think code is the second one. So if we do replace is so we have key A through Z capital this with $1 dot to lowercase, right? So if I now do a toggle control alt A, letter key A, Kia, key key A through Z \1. Control Alt A. Fuck. Am I doing something wrong here? No, it doesn't match. Am I switching these? Is this supposed to be at the beginning and this at the end? Probably, right? That's probably it. Yeah. All right. Let's try this again. Control A. Do I still get an apostrophe out of this? So this should now work. Yes. Key code to letter. Code. And let's see, RE. Key code to letter. It's getting longer and longer and longer. Okay. I'll just get that in here. Now the question is there an easy way of dealing with it not matching? Because if this comes out as, if the match is null, because I basically want it to come out as nothing, right? So let's test this quickly. We're gonna do like a list of things, right? So we're gonna have key A, we're gonna have blob A, gonna have key A, we're gonna have A, and we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, right? Something like that. So, and we'll output for each of those. We're gonna do k dot replace with $1 and k dot match. Right? Yeah. Just give me the results. All right. So null, A blob A K, yeah, okay. And we're gonna do this with RE yada yada. Boom, RE goes in here. And this becomes RE. This becomes RE. All right. And now, oh no, ladies and gentlemen. So now if I add lowercase a through z, or just make this a non-case sensitive thing, now we should have a few more that work out. Blob a, yeah. So these are the ones that I want to disappear. And we want to be able to parse this one as well. So key needs to be optional, like that. And now it parses the straight up letter as well. And blob A in 1, 2, 3 should not come back with that stuff. So now the question is, can I just do a or nothing? Or alternatively a or everything and then followed by nothing in a group. Does that work? It works for the 1, 2, 3. It does not work for the blob. Wait a second. Oh, that's interesting. It matches the B. It matches the B somehow. What? Ah, because these are on the start and the ending are on either side of the or. So I'll have to group it like that. Gotta be all or nothing, right? Gotta match the left side or the right side inside these starting and ending things. Okay, and then if that goes to lowercase, that'll do the trick. Okay. So if I put that here, forgot what I was doing. I forgot where I was. Oh yes, Control Alt A. What do we get now? It gets us an A. So key code to letter. This is the event.code. Right? Toggle Control Alt A. And what we got? What do we get? Oh, that didn't work at all. Control Alt A. No, it works. It works. We're just not using it yet. All right. I'll do this like that. Control Alt. Control A. Control Alt A. Letter A. We get is letter. RE test is letter. It looks like a letter, but is it a letter? Letter false. Well, uppercase. Okay. Da-da-da. Modify detected. Letter entry mode alt letter. So Control Alt. Let's do this. Control Alt A. So letter entry mode alt letter. Modify detected. Control A. If letter entry mode equals alt letter and not alt pressed. Letter entry mode is alt letter. Should this not pass through? Control Alt A. All right. Move it down here. How many more tries? Control Alt A. So letter entry mode alt letter. And this is true. So what do we get? True, false, false, true. Control Shift Alt. Alt is false. Wait, Control Alt A. Alt pressed is false. What the hell? Alt event. Alt key false. Oh man. What about Alt Control A? Alt A. Alt. Alt left. Wait, where's that? I have a feeling they're doing something funky there. Don't do the funky. I don't like funky things. Put that at the top. Don't need that anymore. Let's put that before we bail. Okay, so I go here, Control Alt A, and at that point Alt goes false. Shoot. So I think what happens is the browser intercepts it and turns it into the accent or whatever. Detect CTRL and Alt plus letter in key event. Accented letter. So, you're detecting shift, and you need to capitalize whatever letter you're checking. Shift capitalize the normally lowercase letter. Yeah. Using so there's no bookbox. It's found on this. What's going on here? I don't actually know if this is a solvable thing. Maybe hotkeys.js is a way to go here. I hate using external libraries though for this kind of stuff. Let's print out these other keys as well while we're at it. But I have a feeling somebody's watching me. No, I have a feeling that's not going to be our salvation here. So Control Alt A detects Control A. Alt is false here. None of these meta keys are being recognized at this point. That's just sad. And can you find out how to check combination of letter key and the properties like example Alt key cannot be used for this since there's no event Alt. In this case, you can use get modifier state. Oh. Ooh. Huh. Uh-huh. I have never seen this before. Get modifier state. Alt graph is true, even though I didn't press Alt graph. And if I press Control A, presumably Alt graph is false. Press Alt A, Alt graph is also false. But Control Alt A, so it basically does this. But in this case, Control will be. If I press Alt graph, it triggers Control. And if I press Alt, it doesn't trigger anything at all. Control A. So Alt Graph A actually triggers Control A. Ugh. Ugh. Wait a second. If I press Alt Graph, Meta key, Control key, they're all false. But my internal Control press stuff is false here. And if I press Control Graph, Control press comes out as true. Okay, so that's something I'm doing badly here. Control pressed. Control meta down. So Alt Graph maybe triggers one of those two other ones. Oh my god, so many. Okay. I'm pressing one button here. Jesus. So it triggers Control left, which is very strange. It triggers Control meta down. Then it triggers Alt Graph, Alt right. Oh my god, okay. Well, that's a mess and a half. Well, let's have a look at this detect modifier thing. And how widely that API is available before I start using something that might not be universally available. I hate this stuff. That's why I've been shying away from sorting this out. Are pressed or oh my god. Okay, modifier keys. So get a modifier state. Returns the current state of the specified modifier key. True if the modifier is active. Otherwise false. What's the support table for this thing? Browser compatibility. Edge 12, Firefox 15, IE 9. IE 9 is usually an indication that it's pretty universal. But then it has different support levels for different keys. Ugh. Full support, no support, non-standard. Deprecated. Don't know what these are referring to. Modifier key values must be one of the keyboard event key values which represent modifier keys or the string XL. This is case sensitive. Why is there a bin symbol? Oh man. On Gecko. Versions from Gecko. So the question then is, what am I really looking for here? The problem was that... So... Let's see. If I press Alt, and then if I press Alt Graph, so Alt Graph, and if I press Alt, I just get Alt. So let's just loop through a bunch of ones that I care about. So we're gonna go Alt, Graph, let's see, Control, and right Control, right. Now I don't know if this is Control and or Control right. So let's just put them both in. And Alt, is that left as well? So Alt, left, Alt, right, Alt, Graph. Let's just put them all in. What else we got? We got Hyper, Meta OS. So let's try OS, Meta, FN, symbol locked. Shift. Meta numlock. Control. I'm wondering if caps lock might be also a possible hotkey to use. All right. Map. And prepare key. Oh, 1 second. All right. Sorry, that was a phone call. Well, obviously it was a phone call. It was just a phone call I was been waiting for from the bank. Sorting out things for CTC. All right, I think it's all right. Okay. Where were we? Oh yes. Okay, so I made a long list of these modifier keys, and now I just wanted to basically turn these into some sort of array. So we're just gonna do key or nothing, and we'll just do this like this, and then this should give us an array of all the modifier keys at that point in time. So if I press Control, Alt Graph, Alt, Control. Ah, okay. Control. Is this Control left then? And Control right. And we should be able to do join like that. So if I now press Control right, left, Control right, Alt, there's something different, right? So if I do this, press Alt, I get this amount. If I press Alt Graph, it is 2 events, right? So it fires a control event. Okay, so Alt Graph fires control event. What's up with that? JavaScript. Alt Graph fires control event. Find graph as a parameter. Manifying an event does not generate default actions as a event. It's not cause that large to be unfocused input text because it's important for security as it prevents scripts from simulating user actions that interact with the browser itself. All right. Question is hotkey.js? I mean, I've heard of this before and I've, considered it and all that. Is this really a Mac keyboard that I can test? Oh man. I mean, it's 1.7 kilobytes, 3K, it's not too bad. Hotkeys, JS, used to in React. Explore 6+. Maybe I should switch to this. Especially for, hotkeys. So what does this do? Hotkeys key string. One global method is exposed key, which defines shortcuts when called directly. So hotkey F5 prevents the default refresh. Okay, so here you're yeah, I don't really want that actually. So this triggers event handlers on these key presses. Okay. But then you have to run everything through these. I'd like it the other way around. I'd like it to be able to just pass in an event and it tells me what's going on. Integrating hotkeys might be something for a future build, but not for this release. No way. But I might be able to use it for some testing and such. The other thing is I'm not on GitHub here. Issues, because that's always, don't know. So CTRL GR, no, Alt Graph, Alt GR, detect Alt GR being pressed. Currently using Slime in our application. However, we currently have an issue since we use international coverage polished special characters. Here's an example. In the application, we set Alt Control C. It's used for illustrates all Control C keyboard shortcuts. Special card is never presented. This is occurring for all of our new languages. Well, that's not useful. What about closed issues? Alt, graph, Alt, use Control Alt 4, Shift Control Alt 4, activate Control Alt 4. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot of discussion around these things. Yeah, okay, so it obviously has its own issues, so I can't rely on it just solving magically everything, right? Okay, so we have a couple of different options. Option one is to update our own code to improve how these get set. The risk with that is, since I can't test well on Mac, is that we're breaking some stuff we barely managed to get working on Mac, which would be terrible, especially since there aren't that many users, so it's very likely it wouldn't get caught in public testing until I release it, and then people will complain and it'll be broken, and I'll be stressing to fix it. The other option is to filter things out right here. So right now, so where are we at right now? So if I press Control Alt A, Control Alt A. So my intention is to type in a letter while in the control temp whatever, right? But what happens is it's firing the control, no, it's firing the A thing, the A go to the left thing, right? Because so Alt pressed, modify detected, Control A. Thing is, I did press A, Control, but we shouldn't actually care about that. So the real problem is that Alt pressed is false. And the question is, why is Alt pressed false? And Alt pressed false is it's false because, let's just get rid of all the spam. Control Alt A. So Control A, modify detect, change tool center true, undefined false. Keyboard event A. So we came to here, but the problem is not that Control is pressed. The problem is that Alt appears to be not pressed. Okay. And let's have a look at Alt down. So Control Alt A. So Control Alt A, Alt down false. Let me get rid of the change tool in 3715 or whatever. No, in 2594. 25. I don't want this anymore. 25. Change tool. Here. 2594. Okay. Control meta down. Let's ignore these for now. Actually, let's ignore all of these and we'll just put our get modifier state thing in here. Okay, let's try this. Control Alt A. So handle update keys. Let's do update keys. Even though I think that gets called quite a few times. Wait, what? There was an error? No. What? There's sworn something red showed up there. A little bit. Was it timing based? Ah, here we go. Ooh, where did this happen? 3719, get modifier state, event, update keys handle blur. Oh, on blur. Wait a second. 3515, handle blur. Does this not have an event getting passed in? Blur. It has an event. Oh, it's not a key event. I see. I see. I see. Event dot type update keys blur if okay, key up key there is sec. There is a way of detecting what kind of event it is, right? If I press a key here, keyboard event. So can I just do event instance keyboard event dot constructor dot name event. Does that work? I think event.constructor.name. Oh, yeah, here we go. So if I click here and I get a blur event, false. So we're just going to do if keyboard event, if not return. I don't think we can do anything here. No, we can. We can. I think it's designed to because all of these will come back false, right? So they'll work. So, but if we do this, I think it'll fix our immediate problem here. All right. So we'll do this. Whoops. No, we'll do this. Go back up here, toggle, clear this again, Control Alt A. So handle to update keys, app.update keys, key up. Okay, update keys, key down, key A, false, false, false. Get modifier state, alt graph. So even though control is pressed, get modifier state, alt control A, Alt A. So as far as I can tell, even get modifier state does not correctly return the conversion from control plus alt to alt graph. Okay. One second. There's also a bunch of other stuff going on here. So we have which. So we have event.which, event.keyCode, event.charCode, besides like event.key and all that stuff. So we have these kinds of things as well. Stuff is complicated. And the problem is whenever you try to use a library that's supposed to sort it all out for you, you find out that the library is also struggling with the same things. So we've pressed, so we're hitting update keys here. Key down A, 65, 65, alt graph, key code, char code. Now, if I press just A, it's also 65, 65, 0. Okay. So the question here is, can we compare the accented, I mean, it gets really complex, right? Because let's say a letter that doesn't have an accent, I don't know, V, right? So what happens? Control Alt V, yeah. So you see, that works. And the problem is, I don't know which letters will magically do this. And it could be my internationalization settings. I mean, I didn't even know that I could do accented letters that way. In fact, can I? Yes, I can, apparently. Okay. So it does some magic bollocks under the bonnet. And the only way to detect that is, and let's see, if I press Alt Graph A, Alt Graph A, Alt Graph A, so that's this. I get letter A, I get control pressed is true, I get Alt Graph here, and I get 64, 565. Now if I press Control Alt A, I get the exact same thing. So as far as I can tell, the only thing I can do is 100% handle everything myself through key down and key up event, which causes all sorts of other problems, right? So in other words, if I never got a key up event for control, but I get a key down event for, oh man, super complex. I'm tempted to hack in just a detection for alt graph. The problem is, since it's not distinguishable, yeah, the only real possibility is to manually handle key up and key down events, keep track of it instead of using these events, right? The problem with that is, besides the fact that I'll never hear the end of it, and there's so much stuff. Let me think. The problem with that is that any kind of interruption of the system will immediately, like, I'll have to deal with all the low-level operating system hardware bollocks. You know, does a blur cause a key up if down event not being sent? Do I need to listen to key blur events? Do I need to listen to unfocus events? What other events, you know, could possibly ever cause a button to be released without a key up event being fired? That kind of thing. It is tempting to look at hotkey.js and see if they handle this properly. So where's the demo? There was a demo here somewhere. Demo preview. Just click this. This is where I end up. Okay. So if I press Control Alt A, but here Alt Graph is treated the same way as Control Alt. What if I press Control Alt Graph? The problem was not the Control key. The problem was the Alt key not being detected. Right. So Control A. So we have a key down for Control left, a key down for Alt left. Now we have a key down for key A. But somehow, magically, now Alt Graph is pressed. Now if I press Control Alt Graph, do we get a key down for Alt Graph? Control Alt A. You see, we don't get a key down, but we do get a key up. In fact, we get a key down for Alt Graph. No, do we ever get a key down? Okay, let's see. Do we ever get a key down for Alt Graph? Yeah, you see, we never got a key down for Alt Graph, and then somehow magically it tells me Alt Graph is pressed. That is not correct, and I still have these gnats flying around, mites, whatever. Leave me alone. Didn't get him. Why do you fly in front of my face? Okay. Modify keys, hotkey, modify keys. Wait, where's the NDN page? Both Alt and Control keys are pressed, or Alt Graph is pressed. Either Control key or Alt Graph key is pressed. Why does Windows treat an Alt Graph key as a Control key? It's just so annoying. Yeah, basically. This is a bug? Seriously? Ay. This is a read documentation with Sven Day. So here, people have the problem with the opposite. Okay, so the problem right now for me is Control Alt A says we're in letter mode and key code letter mode alt letter entry mode alt letter, but it doesn't realize alt is pressed. So we basically have to include Alt Graph in our check here. And I think we have an alt graph pressed whatever? I don't think so. Key down A, keyboard event, alt graph. There's an alt key, right? Key alt. And then the next one is key A apostrophe. And like, if I knew what the consistent behavior is, but then I feel like I'd be building basically a keyboard driver for my specific keyboard. Because I could say, oh, okay, if it's an accented A, it's actually gonna be Control Alt A or whatever, right? All right, let's see what the basic patch here could be. So we're hitting here and Alt pressed is false. So if Alt letter, letter entry mode, Alt pressed. Alt pressed, right. And then we're gonna do Alt pressed equals Alt pressed, or, and then we'll get the modifier state, or event dot get modifier state alt graph. So would that work? Control A. Assignment to constant value. All right. Control A. Ah. So if we're here, I can go here, Control A. And Shift Alt A and A. Alt A. Alt A. Okay, I can potentially live with this for this letter mode for now. Once I unwind this whole mess. Did I remove shift pressed here? Let me just make sure I don't have too much stuff here and accidental edits and stuff. Update keys. And then I think the problem with these is just that I reordered them. Let me bring them back into the original order. Shift pressed. Okay. We added alt pressed. And 373. This. And handle key down. Alright, that's fine. Okay. That's the first of our potential options. The second one is Halt Alt for other hotkeys. So now we're checking on if letter entry mode equals, and what's the other letter entry mode? Alt hotkey. All right. So now we basically want to ignore the other modifiers unless Alt is pressed. No, unless, yes, and Alt pressed. And Alt pressed. Alt. Alt hotkey, gonna proceed with hotkey. Don't know, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So now we should be able to do this and say Alt Control Z. Ah, no, we need to actually change the thing here. Okay. Alt, Control Z. Let's undo. We can do Alt, Control A. So that's doing A as if we're pressing nothing. Alt Z. Alt. So we do this, Alt, Control, Alt, Shift. If I do, if I Control C, Shift Z, Alt, Z, X, Y, whatever, and Control Y, Alt, Control Y, Alt, Control Z, and Alt, Control Y. It's a little awkward, I don't like it, but somebody might. Definitely doesn't deserve an extra line here. Proceed. Okay, so that's the second option. Third option, hotkeys with bare letters no longer work. So that's no hotkey. So call this Alt letter. Then we have Alt hotkey. Then we have no hotkey. And then we have only 10. Right. So let's see. No hotkey now. And I think these might as well be down there. All right. What is this? Letter. Get code letter. Okay, we don't need that anymore. Ah, and that's letter. Okay, so we don't need that. Okay. So no hotkey. That means we are just disabling all hotkeys. If letter mode equals no hotkey, we'll just do nothing. So now letter mode is no hotkey, and Buzz doesn't work anymore. These don't work anymore. Control A doesn't work anymore. Control Z doesn't work anymore. Okay, so that's the no hotkey. Bare letters no longer function. Ah, but we want control stuff still work. Okay. Control Shift. All right. If letter mode is awkward and not CTRL pressed and not Shift pressed and not Alt pressed. Not proceed with hotkey. So I can still do Control Z. Pressed. So I should still be able to Control Z. Wait. If no hotkey and any of those. And or yeah. I've pressed Control Z so many times, I didn't know if the undo was actually working. Okay, but I can do this. Okay, that's... Somebody might like that, especially somebody who doesn't care about these. Okay. And now the fourth option is only 10. So then we go back to checking onto our letter map here. Okay. Let's get rid of that. And letter map index of letter, I guess. So it works similar to no hotkey mode. It's basically the same as this. Right. Same as this. If letter entry mode equals only 10 and not and letter map dot index of letter equals no, it's either these. Yes. It's either a modifier key. So modifier key should always work. But it's also okay for this to be without a modifier key, not in this list, right? Right, so that should now operate differently for different kinds of keys. So if I press Z, proceed with hotkey Z, right? But now if I press A, it'll actually write an A. Control A is still select all. Control Z is still undo. Yeah. It would be confusing. It would take some getting used to. But hey, it's one of the 4 options. So I think with these 4 options, we can go kind of to the final round of testing here. Let's see if there's anything other than that that's kind of crazy messy. So, 2 things. First of all, I definitely want to persist this tool. Should I just... Oh, no. I lost my shoe. I want to persist the state of this tool. And I did that in the editor somewhere. Trying to remember. Persist settings. Find local. Storage. Ah, no, I'm looking at the wrong file. Editor, tool editor. Okay, settings dot. I think there's a tool that persists settings for me. Where is it? Framework, come on. Nope. 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 I think we have a set data. Yeah. So we should be able to do something like, excuse me. So we should have the setting persisted in enable, disable, and then toggled on startup, basically. So to letter.enable, and we'll do the same thing for disable. All right. If I toggle it, okay. Okay, so these aren't. Okay, so these are for the setting actually getting switched. Okay, and toggle mode. Ooh, this is probably the one we want. Boom, toggle mode, toggle mode, toggle mode, toggle mode. Now start it up. No toggle mode. Okay. So then this goes into toggle mode. Letter mode. Framework set data. And then we can do on init. On init, we want to get the letter mode setting like this, I presume. Letter mode, no. Toggle letter mode, handle toggle mode, okay. Letter mode, true. Toggle, refresh, letter mode, false. Okay. So then we should do this dot toggle mode. Actually, I mean, this is basically it, but we might want to do this on handle. Where is it? Handle, tool enter. Here we go. Disable, enable. Ah, okay, it's for when this button basically comes into appearance. So that might actually be the perfect place. So if I put this into enable, so if I go here, letter mode false, okay. So then if I do this, da-da-da, and of course, if it's already set to the right one, no harm, no foul, right? Yeah, I think that's literally all we need to do. And we probably want to prefix this. Where's the set data? Here we go. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Okay. And refresh. All right, I think that's it. So we've basically just added these two lines. Oh yeah, and now we need to actually toggle the mode, the type of thing, right? So we're gonna have to do this similar to this selection blue cage. So this is done in the selection tool. Let's find out how. Tool, select. Handle update keys, handle yada yada yada, control select. So it's not defined here. This was like an early tool design. very primitive. Nowadays, the tools are much more self-contained. Selection, outline, like, where is this stuff? I'm not searching in the right place. Okay, so it's literally defined here. Multi, large digits, enable tools. Okay. Enable pen tool, enable letter tool, enable letter tool. Okay. And I'm not afraid to make these two separate settings. And I think I can just do this, right? Like that. Like that. And like that. Handle cage selection and yeah, okay. Whoops. That did not work. That did not work. Do I do this? Do I have to call add settings specifically? I think I might have to. Yeah, okay. So name, letter, tool, letter, mode. Didn't really call it mode. Content selection. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make sense for this to have content. Options, right. And now we're gonna have our 4 settings here, and we have to word them in some sort of way that makes sense to human beings, including me, a few weeks from now, which is not going to be trivial. So alt letter, alt hotkey, no hotkey, only 10 selection. So whoops. So you go up there and key handlers. So we have these little descriptions here. Let's reword them into a couple of words each. Alt letter. Alt plus letter. Alt plus letter. Alt hotkey. Alt plus letter. Press. Oh. Alt 4 letters. Alt 4 hotkeys. Only hotkeys with modifiers. Only letters A through I plus O. I think this might almost be shorter. Okay. If I do this, what do the settings look like? I think this is content, and my default will be, I guess, alt letter. So now we need to check the mode that you're in. How? 2-letter mode. Okay. Okie dokie. Is that really it? Framework. Settings. The 2-letter mode. No hotkey, only 10. Hold Alt for letters. Hold Alt for letters. Only 10. Alt letter, only 10. Okay, so if I do this... No. Not that. Not that at all. I take this and stuff it in here. Is that enough to make it all dance? So which mode are we in now? Hold Alt for letters. Alt S. Control Z. Control Alt Z. Shift Alt Z. Z. Alt Z. Okay. Now, if I toggle this to hold Alt for hotkeys, now I can press Z for a key, but Control Z works. Control Alt Z. Yes. Back. All right, I should number them so people can reference them. And I should just do 1, 2, 3, 4. Where does this appear? Enable letter tool. Only hotkeys with modifiers. Yada yada yada. Okay, so now in it we don't need here. That probably doesn't work either. Can add settings directly supply default values? So that probably just loops through them and calls add settings, and it just adds settings opt. Okay. Default settings, set setting, settings, ops, settings ops handler. There is default values somewhere. And I'm thinking, are they in the main script? They potentially are, which isn't great. All right. Settings defaults. How are these being used? Init settings. Framework init settings. Large digit selection cage. Init settings. Find init settings defaults. Date legacy data settings key. Load settings defaults. So what we could do is, if that value doesn't exist, and I think the only way to actually ensure that is to actually go through this process of removing it. One sec. So set setting, right? So let's see, set settings opt, save settings, name val, save settings. Save settings. So if I do something like framework.set setting, and then I'll stuff in whatever I put here, and I pass in undefined, does that actually erase it? Yes, it does. Very good. So then we can have an init here. Maybe put that after the options. Right. Then we can do init here. Something like that. Okay. And then we'll go do this. Something like that, right? So if equals undefined, and I have one doubt though. Maybe undefined isn't enough. Maybe it comes back as null. So save settings updates for each update key. If update key. So it should be properly undefined here. So if I look at what's actually being saved. No, what am I calling it? Sven codes. So if I look at this here. Yeah, so it's not there at all. Perfect. So if it's undefined, so set setting. Is that what we call it? Set setting? Is that really? Is that what I went with? Yes, it is. And we defaulted to alt letter. Right. So now on startup, you're just going to do rip init default to alt letter. So I start this up and open this. It'd be that. And if I press alt A, it'll do that. And if I just press A, it'll do that. Okay. All right, that's good. Letter entry mode, on press modify detected. Okay, so modify detected, all those log lines we can now get rid of. Like that, and like that. I almost want to turn that into a switch in those case statements. So if we do a switch on this here, and then we'll have something like case alt letter, and then we'll do if not alt pressed return break. Does that make more sense? Hey Squared, how are you doing? Most of them, so the primary place to go is obviously the CTC YouTube's channel, right? So if you go to YouTube, actually, if you go to my YouTube channel, where you're right now, and go to my channel's listing page, you get a list of YouTube channels that show new puzzles regularly. So one good place to start is so for later viewers, A Squared asked of good places to find more puzzles. So there's a bunch of YouTube channels that constantly publish new videos. with puzzles that you can mostly open in my app. Secondly, the fan Discord. So if you go to svencodes.com, you'll find a link. And in the CTC Discord, for example, if you go to the CTC Discord, for example, if you go to daily Sudoku puzzles, there'll be always high quality puzzles every day, collected and selected by the community. If you go to, there is the, where is it? Discord Puzzle Archive. There are so many puzzles here, like dozens every day. It's just, you know, this is probably just the last couple of weeks. So many puzzles. And another place that I personally enjoy is there's not a podcast, a blog by a good setter called Artisanal Sudoku, I think. Artisanal Sudoku, yeah. So he publishes, I think, once a week, 3 very nice, pretty. They're sort of slightly higher like slightly more difficult than Gas, but relatively speaking much easier than the ones in the puzzles. So these are also really, really nice. Appreciate them. I really need to collect these in a page somewhere. And these are all from James Sinclair. And of course, I'm also working on a feature for you to subscribe to channels similar to YouTube channels, but just for puzzles. But that's something that's still a couple months out for sure. There's a lot of work required to get that up and running. All right, so if all pressed, no hotkey, if this, or this, if this, return, and finally only 10, if this, or that, return. Boom. I think that's equivalent, but of course we're gonna have to test it all again. So if I do Alt S, all pressed is not defined. Alt. How did I end up with a small p there? All right, at least I know it's going to the right place. So Alt, what setting am I on? Alt for letters. Alt A. If, did I just, what the heck? How did I end up with Shift press there? All right, Alt A, okay. And then Control Z. All right, and Z. Control Z. And Z. Shift Z. So this does not work. What mode am I in? Alt for letters. Alt Z. Okay, all right. Hold Alt for letters. Now switch Alt for hotkeys. So now Z does the letter. Control Z does the center letter, but Control Alt Z is undo. Okay, that works. Only hotkeys with modifiers. So that means Z is a letter, Control Z is undo. Whatever. Only hotkeys with modifiers. Ah, yes. And then, like, we're losing ZX, etc. And then only 10 is kind of similar. So it affects C, but X and Z work, but C doesn't, so that's kind of crappy. Yeah, not my favorite, but some people might like it. All right. And any other logging I should get rid of finally. Oop. Let's go back to holding Alt for letters. All right. And no worries, A squared. But yeah, it is a major, because there's so many puzzles, but they're all kind of hidden away in all these weird nooks and crannies. I mean, for example, Logic Masters Germany, masters, logic-masters, is a huge source of puzzles, and many of the newer ones have links to SudokuPad. But it's not super obvious where to go. Like I don't know. Okay, so there's a Rätselportal, and obviously being in German doesn't necessarily help. So we have a Rätselportal, yeah. So for example, Anti-Night, okay, I can see that. All right, Anti-Night Thermos, all right. Yeah, so that has a CTC app link. So, you know, Logic Masters Germany could also be a very good place to get started. So let me post a link to that as well. I'm just gonna logic-master.de. So yeah, that's all probably obviously also a huge source for lots of people, but they're not always including links to the app, so it might be a bit tricky. Okay, finally, let's have a look. So I leave these comments in here for now. Those are fine, don't mind those. We've got the persistence of the tool, so I think we've kind of accomplished what I was setting out to do. We've cleaned up the thing, we have the I mean, this will be sort of the penultimate release, right? Setting a tutorial letter versus hotkey mode, and then this I have to do off screen. And then I gotta get back to the editor. It's been already more than a week, so it's very easy to lose track of what's going on. Sweet. So this one warrants. Well, let's make these patch updates on this one. So npm. Oh wait, let's commit this one first. What did we add here? All right. So enable multiple letter modes. Enable what? Add. Okay. And then we'll do npm run bump patch. And that should get us to... Come on. Refresh. Refresh. Thank you. Alright. We should picture toggle between 4-letter modes. Letter tool modes. All right, and that's definitely something I need to. Oh, and I think I want to publish this to staging, and we actually want to push this also to SudokuPad.app. Yeah, I need to now get back to some of the YouTubers who've been using this tool and let them know about this update, and hopefully get some more feedback. All right, and maybe I should do like a little short, well, 6 seconds might not be enough, but maybe I should, this warrants actually doing a bit of a video and explaining the different modes and how they work and stuff. That might be a good, you know, a good place for me to put together a video. A good reason to do a video, actually. I've been meaning to. All right, thanks for A2 for stopping by. I hope you'll find many more wonderful puzzles. And you know what? I'm gonna put that on my to-do list. If I can find it. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, I'm gonna put this on my task list. Or tomorrow, even though I'm unlikely to get to it tomorrow. But I think it makes sense to kind of put together a create page with links to more puzzle resources at codes.com/puzzles. And I'm just gonna put I had a couple there, so I'm gonna put them here, that what I posted earlier in the channel, because I like these. These are good. Well, Logic Masters Germany probably deserves a higher listing. Oh, and let me get the link to Discord. Nope. CTC fan Discord. And that should go somewhere around here. Yeah. Thanks for that. I definitely need to do this sort of thing more as well. All right, that's it. I'm gonna take a lunch break. It is almost 1 o'clock. I'm getting hungry. And this afternoon, we either get to the other items here. So I'm actually kind of happy with all of these. And then we can maybe setting up these, but I have to do that off screen, so it's kind of boring because I can't stream it. But I might maybe do a video describing letter tool options. And while I'm making the video, it's actually also an excuse to kind of just test things again and kind of take another look. Cool. All right. In the meantime, thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, I would appreciate the sub. Of course, patrons on patreon.com/SvenCodes are also very, very, very much appreciated. And I'm going to set up a new goal soon. I haven't decided yet where I'm going to set the goal because growth has been kind of linear. I don't want to set the goal too soon, but at the same time, I don't want to make it unattainable. And it's a little bit of a head scratcher because I wanted to create a new tier for YouTubers and so on, but I haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. Like, it should be fairly pricey with fairly specific tools, but at the same time, I also have a lot of stuff to do for the setter tier yet, so I don't know how soon I can get to creating YouTuber tools like the layout system and all that sort of stuff. Still have to ponder on that a little bit more. Anyway, in the meantime, any kind of support is very much appreciated. Thank you very much for hanging out. Take care and see you in the next stream.